Well, good morning, and thanks so much for joining me here in my shop for a very happy day. I've noticed the last couple of days I've been feeling really happy. There's a couple of reasons in my personal life for that, which I won't go into. Nothing big or serious, but just all lights are turning green for me. This morning I did something I haven't done for 4 years, and that's I watched a music video while I ate breakfast. 4 years ago and previous, when I eat my breakfast just before I come in here, I would put on a music video, usually by a band called Yes, because I love their music, and I'd listen to it while I ate breakfast, and then I'd come in here all charged up, feeling good. But 4 years ago that changed for me. I sensed something threatening was happening, and I started watching the news every morning. So for the last 4 years, every morning before I come in here, I've been watching the news. Today I watched the music video again, same thing yesterday, and I realized there's nothing that I need to pay attention to news-wise anymore. I mean, yeah, I watch the news like everybody, but I don't have this dark feeling that something horrible is going wrong and must be fixed, that something is upside down and needs to be righted. Seems to me it got righted. So I'm feeling great. The other reason I'm feeling great is I think for the first time, almost since I've had this radio, it's going to work properly today. It's probably not worked the way it is supposed to work for the whole time I've had it, since I changed the defective power transformer in it, and I failed in doing that to connect one wire. And you see the clip lead laying there. That's where the wire should run. It should run from down here up to here. This is my pretty firm thinking now. I mean, I could be wrong about this. So what happened is when I did all the work down in this area, there's 2 wires that go to a terminal. Well, today there's only 1 wire going to that terminal. The other wire, which is supposed to be in this bundle and heading up this way, appears here where it should. This wire goes nowhere. I can't find the end of it. This is the part that's been freaking me out. I cannot find the end of the wire. It's in here somewhere, or did I stupidly connect it to something wrong? I don't know. I cannot find it. We're not going to worry about it. I've done some preliminary work testing this theory that I have that the wire's missing, and it appears to certainly be the case. So today the name of the game is to work towards permanently installing that wire, but to do some tests here. What if I'm totally wrong? I mean, I can easily be wrong about this. There's been times in my life where I've been wrong before. This could be one of them. And to be wrong about something to do with the power supply is to put the radio at risk. What kinds of risks? Too much current going through a coil, burning it out. That's the main thing that makes me very concerned. So in order to avoid that, I'm going to slowly work my way through getting that wire in place. So I think the first thing to do is to remove the jumper and test these 2 points. Now this should be 51. It's always measuring at 70. The current flow into this is very, very low. It's really basically a grid circuit. There's really no current flow into it. So I don't see hooking up this wire is going to draw current and pull the voltage down here. So there's a good chance that we're supposed to have 50 here, we'll have 70 here, we're supposed to have 10 here, we'll have 12 or 13 here, something like that. I need to hook up some equipment to monitor this stuff, and away we go. Away we go. So I'm going to get all the equipment hooked up, and we'll get started. Just for fun, if you're a Yes fan. So what I listened to was a video, actually. It's a video on my TV. This album, Relayer, this song, Gates of Delirium. Gates of Delirium is basically a song about the fight between the forces of darkness and the forces of light. And it's a great song. Play it loud, put headphones on. It basically covers exactly what I've been watching for 4 years. the fight between the forces of darkness and light. And just like this song, light has won. So that's part of the reason why I'm feeling so great today. I am really feeling great. I hope I'm still feeling like this when I see my wife in a short while. I can lend her some of this. But wow, okay. I'm just too excited here. Yeah, stop the camera, get the stuff hooked up, Jake. Come on. I really am feeling great today. Okay, you know that song. Just to go back to it again, that song on this album, Gates of Delirium. That's exactly what it has felt like for 4 years. Like I've been standing at the gates of delirium. Yeah, really. Okay, I'm going to be delirious here because the fact is I made this mistake. I left this wire out probably 35 years ago or so, and I've been playing this radio with a wire missing and incorrect bias on a couple of critical tubes without ever knowing it. Who knows what fantastic performance I've missed here. And that's one of the things I want to find out today. As I make this connection, does the radio's performance change? It may not. It may not change after all this because it performs fairly well. So what we're ready to do now is inject a voltage from a piece of equipment here, a power supply on these wires. I'm going to inject 50 volts basically onto the plate of the C- rectifier tube, basically imitating the tube itself. The tube produces 50 volts. I'm going to put 50 volts on it myself, and we'll see what shows up here. Now to monitor this, a little hard to get a clip lead in there, I've simply put it at the other end of the wire, and this green wire is going to my VTVM here. What am I'm expecting 50 volts. I'm going to crank it up to 50 volts. That's what I want to say. This is now 50 volts full scale. So we'll bring it up full scale. Then I want to read the voltage at the key spot. Oh wait a minute. You know what? I've got 2 voltmeters reading the same thing here. Or do I? No, I don't. No, I don't. Take it all back. This guy here is going to read the supply voltage. This guy is going to read the voltage that shows up here. So we should see 10 volts on here. So I'll leave this on the 50 volt scale. So we're expecting it to come up to about here when this one says 50. And if that's the case, Jed's a millionaire. Okay, here we go. Why am I moving these? I'm really beside myself today. Should go over a bike ride, but I can't do that in the snow. Lots of snow coming today too. I think we're ready. So I'm going to step right in front of the camera at this point. Let me change this a little bit. It's all about what happens on these meters. Nothing much else to see. So let's watch these meters here. Okay, I'm going to start applying the 50 volts. Remember, let me just make sure I got it right. If I got it right, 50 volts on this meter. It should be obvious as soon as you start, Jim. Come on. We're going up. We're going negative here. That's right. It's a negative voltage that we want to apply. Okay, here we go. How come my other meter's not reacting at all? Okay, let's hold it right there. Hold it right there. Why are you not reacting? Where's this black wire going? It goes to here. Why am I not seeing anything? Should see something. Should see something. This is telling me I've got over 10 volts at the I'm over 50 according to that. Let me just crank it down a little bit. So just how come this meter's not showing up? Red one. It must be clip lead. It must be a clip lead. Clip leads haunt me all day, every day. Okay, let's take this off. Looks perfectly good. Yeah, it's okay. Not this. Okay, got that sorted out. So this is the supply voltage now, and the voltage at the 10 volt point is on this meter. So we're already reading, so we got 18, and here on the 50 volt scale, son of a gun if it isn't 10 volts already. Oh, what's going wrong here? Am I feeding this in the right spot? It's right on the plate, right on the 2 pin. The plate 2 pin is it, it's 18 volts. This would suggest that if I turn on the radio and it produces the 70 volts, pretty much half of it, 35 volts, would end up where it's supposed to be minus 10, be minus 35. That's what this is suggesting here. Let me take this off here. No effect at all. Yeah, I wonder about that. Put it back on. It goes on to the injection point up here. Now, it is a feed to grids, so, and it's very high impedance. There's big resistors all over the place here. So. I find this extremely confusing. Looking at the wrong meter. Okay, so this is the voltage at this point, and now I'm going to attach the other part of the circuit, and you'll see this drop a little bit. Watch. So whatever I just said is not quite true. There is some current drop. There was a capacitor that charged, and then there is a little bit of current draw, because if I remove it, it goes up. So tiny current draw. We studied it long enough, we probably find something that explains that. Okay, hold the fort here. I did discover my mistake. So I'm not measuring the voltage at the voltage divider point. I'm measuring at the top of the voltage divider. It's a mistake. It should really, this clip lead should really be up on this terminal. This is where the voltage divider resistors connect, and this is where the 10 volts is found, right here. I did it wrong. Okay, that's good. I'm glad. This is going to read the input voltage again. Okay, this will read the input voltage, and this will read the resulting at the voltage divider point. Okay, cranking up the voltage now. Cranking down, if you want to look at it that way. So we're heading for 50. No current draw on my power supply. We're heading for 50. Okay, so we're at 50. That's exactly what I think is supposed to be, 51. And what do we get here? We're getting 6 volts. 6 volts. Well, it's a lot better than 1. But you know what? If this were 70, so if this were 70, so we'll put this up, stabilize it close to 70. And now we're very close to 10 here. We're at 8.5. Well, that sounds good. I like that. So now I want to try this with the radio. Okay, so I'm going to stop again. I'm reassured here. Okay, I think I'm ready. Let's just check the settings here. We're on modulation, which is listening to voices. Normally AVC here. Switch is off. Audio is 0. Our bandwidth is okay. The band we're on is we're on the upper. We're on a dual conversion band around 7 megahertz. That's where we are. I think all that is fine. Oh, I didn't really say it, but you know, I reinstalled the beat frequency oscillator and all that stuff. I didn't really say it. I took it out. It's all back in. Everything's hooked up again. But I haven't tested the radio till this moment. So if I've done a mistake here, maybe the smoke will tell you. Don't think I made any mistakes though. Famous last words. So our plan here is to bring up the voltage fairly slowly. This meter is monitoring the output of the C- rectifier tube. So this should show the 70 volts. And this should show what's showing up on the voltage divider via this connection. The wire is not installed. We're relying on this clip lead to do the job of the missing wire. At the same time, we want to listen to the radio. So first order of business is to return the radio to the state it was in originally. I think this is a better clip lead to pull here. Pull this one. So this is the way the radio has been without that wire and without that connection. So we're going to start it up, get it playing, hear it working. You have the antenna connected. You have the antenna switch turned on. And we should be able to pick something up somewhere with it. And is that it? Interestingly enough, we're still able to monitor the minus 10 volts on here, but it won't be minus 10. It's going to be like minus 1 based on my earlier testing. My headphones ready. Volumes over here. Let's put headphones on here. Okay, volume check. Nothing but a little hiss there right now. Volumes are down. Okay, let me just a bit before I turn it on, one last look. Make sure I haven't left a tube out or done something stupid like that. No, they're all in. I think we're good to go. Okay, I'm gonna remove this tray of tubes, which is not supposed to be here. And so I'm gonna crank up the supply voltage to about, let's say, 70 volts. The most I can get into the radio right now is 70 volts. And I go a little higher. That's a little too low. Okay, so we have a 100 volt supply limited by the dim bulbs. I think that's enough to make the smoke come. I think it's enough. So if I turn the radio on, if I flip the switch down, power's on. What should happen? So those lights should come on fairly bright as the supply capacitors charge. Should dull down. These guys, this should produce the voltage shortly after the radio is turned on when the heaters come on in the rectifier tube. Am I pointing at the right one? I'm not. Yeah, that's true. And at the same time, this one should come up. They're the same voltage, just divided. This one should come up to 10. So 10 is about here. So if this comes up and goes right now, not hooked up. So right now, not coming up to 10, probably coming up to 1. But this will come up to 70. And okay, I think I know what I'm doing. Everything's normal. All set? Here we go. With the dim bulbs at 100 volts. There's the bulbs coming on, going down. That's a good sign. What about the smoke problems? See, no, I am seriously looking for smoke. It is valid with this radio to check for smoke. There's no smoke anywhere. Okay, what about those meters? So he's just starting up now. So the rectifier tube's just starting to rectify. And what about the sound? Let's turn it up. The sound. At 100 volts with the dim bulbs, we probably won't hear any sound. We're running the radio on 73 volts. Look at this, we're getting all the way up to minus. Wow, that's hard to believe. So the suggestion here is if I put this radio on full power, that's going to go up to, I hate to think what it's going to go up to. And we do not have the wire connected. So at this point, can we hear this radio? Okay, audio up. audio up here. That's the volume control in the static. So it's kind of there, but with this much voltage, it's not all there yet. Quite the hum in there. Okay, so we're going to raise the voltage up higher. Leave the dim bulbs in the circuit. Or just shoot the radio. Just get rid of the dim bulbs. Let's do that. So when I flip the switch up, the radio will begin operating at around 100 volts instead of 117. You almost knocked everything over when you did that, Jen. A little too much drama. Here it comes. This is way out. This has gone nowhere yet. I don't have it connected. Okay. Now I want to do this. This is the scary part. That's not really scary. I'll make it less scary. The reason this is high, this isn't connected. Let's turn off the radio, make the connection, and repeat the whole thing. Good idea. Off with the radio. Make the connection. It's to here. We'll now feed the voltage here, which was at 90, into here. Oh boy, I don't like that too much, but we'll put the dim bulbs back in to start with. This time this meter should show us something. And just to remind myself, 10 volts is here. Are you ready? Yeah. $78, 77 volts on the radio. This one's going up now. And we don't want it to go past the 10 point. This is less important. This is what's important. Well, that's really good. We're at 7 volts. That's not so bad. Is there anything bad happening? Smoke check. Smoke check. Yeah, I should get my thermal. I'll get my thermal viewer in here. I have to let the radio run for a while for that to really... Well, maybe not. Okay, volume. Why are we hearing nothing? Volume's not turned up. Not enough voltage yet. That's what it is. Okay, so we'll go for the 100 volts. Watch this guy go. He's up just under 10. This is even higher than it used to be. Why is that? Volume, please. Smoke check. That's my phone.
I heard that one church decided they were going to take out the cross. They were going to take out the altar. They were going to take straight lights. My God. Stop this. It's not wonders. I believe God would rather see... God, listen. God
Sorry
wants
about that.
everyone
You're
saved.
going away,
Yes,
right?
He does. He wants every soul saved. Yes, He does. But we cannot compromise the gospel of Jesus Christ. Pastors do two very foolish things.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to remove the 10 volts, put the radio back to the way
designed to
it was
please
operating.
everybody, so that they can walk out of there just feeling good about themselves. We call it positive thinking,
Go
even
volume
good
down a
news.
little bit.
But think about this. When they get it
Let's
right,
see what
someone
happens.
gets mad at the truth they preach. They feel that in some way they have failed in their assignment and want to apologize, like to the Pharisees. Think about this. Folks, think about this. This is wrong.
So
This
we
is wrong.
reduced
This is
the
wrong.
negative bias
We have
on a couple
got
of
to be
tubes,
preaching the gospel
and
of
the volume
Jesus
went up.
Christ. You see, God doesn't want anybody to perish, but He doesn't want us
Put the bias,
ministers
doesn't sound
watering
like it's
down the
distorted
gospel.
though. Let's put the bias back on.
He wants us to
This is
tell the
94
truth.
now.
You remember the Word of God
Get a chance
says
to
that
see what happens
the
when
Word
we
of God
do
is
this.
sharper than a two-edged sword.
Put it in the right spot,
Think
John.
about this.
Don't make a mistake at this
If
point.
people's preaching a watered-down gospel to people just so they don't lose their job, so that they don't lose their job security.
Fell off.
Human beings are working in the public.
Oh, there was a spark there. There was a little spark there. So, now we're up to 83 volts here. You know what? And the radio's only running with 100. Something is out of sorts here again. It's supposed to be 50 volts at that point. Not 83. And we're only running on a 100 volt supply. So there is a 150 volt regulator in there. I don't think it's involved in any of these voltages. But it's just possible that we're just reaching the regulated limit of the radio, and that if I turn up the supply voltage further, these won't even change because the 150 volt regulator. As a wild guess. So what happens if you do crank it up? So I'm going to go up to 117 here. Here we go.
If I take it personally good, I should not feel good about cowardice and disobedience. Another one, if I'm neglecting my family in order to carve out a bigger piece of success in the world, but the pastor of God's word on the father's responsibility, the husband is one.
So my guess is the radio is working more appropriately or properly the way it's supposed to be, even though it's a little quieter. It's just the volume control.
Let him hurt a little, it's good for him. Wouldn't you rather have
I got some
somebody
switches to
hurt
throw.
your feelings now?
Let's
and to
start
know
with
that you
the
put you
modulation
on the right
CW.
path?
So there's something wrong there because it should not be doing that. If they tune the radio, that pitch should go up and down. Woo, 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 woo. It's not. Something out of sorts with it. UFO.
And you pray it. You say I'm good to go, and you're out.
Okay, we'll switch to
I heard a minister
manual
say the other day.
RF.
People want to go to heaven,
This might cause smoke here.
but they want to live like hell.
None of the voltage has changed. Radio went quiet because the RF control is down. I'll turn it up. And at some point,
At one time, they insisted I take $125 a week in time.
that's really interesting. So this is operating differently. There used to be a sweet spot, and if I went above it, the radio cut off. I got the RF control up full. The radio did not cut off. Funny way.
Want to serve God.
Don't know what that is. And the question I have to ask myself is this now correct? These voltages are way out. Well, no. Bias voltage is not way out. It's rated at -10. It goes up to -12 or so. And this goes up to almost 100. And it's supposed to be half that. Half that. Half it. Hey, let's see what else you can pick up there on the radio. Well, I have to think about all this now because it's not really, not the results I was expecting. Something is definitely. Selectivity is here, so sometimes the selectivity switch can.
Offended at how the churches are working right now, how they've turned out. They're powerless. My God,
A strong signal here. Where am I going to find a strong signal this time of day? Maybe up around 9. Up around here. Oh, what's that? So I've never heard this ringing before.
Yeah, he quoted Scripture and he trusted the promises. No doubt, practically everything the Savior said whilst on the cross is actually a quote from Psalm 22.
Really?
Really. Psalm 22 is a prophecy of the crucifixion. Verses 14 to 16 are a physical description of what happens to the body when suspended by crucifixion. Verse 18 foretold what the Roman soldiers did with Yahushua's clothes. The mockery of the priest recorded in Matthew 27 was a word.
Sorry about the volume. What I'm hearing is a little different than what you're hearing, so I'm not as sensitive to the high volume and the distortion you're hearing, so I apologize for that.
He chose to ignore his feelings of abandonment and instead chose to trust in his knowledge of the Father's love that had been revealed previously.
Precisely. The same psalm that so perfectly foretold Yahushua's trial on the cross also contained the faith-inspiring words, "Thou art holy,
O thou that inhabitest the praises of his... Our fathers trusted in thee, they trusted, and thou didst deliver them. They cried unto thee, and were delivered. They trusted in thee, and were not confounded." You know, he was remembering these words too, so despite what he was feeling...
So it used to be on this meter a station that sounds like this, where the noise is practically wiped out by the strength of the signal. That's the ABC pushing the sensitivity of the radio, making the noise go way down. That would typically have this meter up around 60 or maybe even 70 dB. dB from 1 microvolt on the antenna. Right now it's floating around 6 and 20 and that. So I don't know what has changed, but something has happened. The radio's behaving a little bit differently and much less background hiss.
Seeing then that we have a great high priest...
At this level, normally a signal would be just loaded with noise. So I don't know what has changed. It could just be the meter has changed, you know. And
now listen to this next part, Dave.
that sounds pretty good.
This is the key. For we have
and we'll go up to the top selectivity here.
not be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly.
Okay, onward. Now that signal we were listening to is very, very strong. This is perfect. So this is a weak signal on the edge of a noise signal. It's perfect to try to test this radio. So I'm gonna shrink down the selectivity. See if we can avoid the noise while hearing the signal. That's the noise. Switch to RF gain manual. That's around 5 and 6. Well, I'm very happy about this. This is an improvement for sure. That's for picking up that weak signal. It's a little tough. Open the selectivity. Sorry about that. And wider yet. So open the selectivity, you let more and more noise in. It's just more, the door is getting bigger all the time, right? Quite often I listen on this setting here. See how far I had to tune the radio? That's an alignment issue, I'm sure.
Your shouting not only went out to way to mock God, but to apparently challenge the living God to a fight. Enough that he didn't know
That hum that comes in, is that his hum or my hum?
him, but he said in effect, I have you.
WWV at 10 megahertz. Okay, we should, right now we're on a double conversion band. I'm going to go down to a lower band. Now, the thing about this is, it's not too much to pick up down here this time of day, but let's see what we get. 6 megahertz. Any better. Go 7. These voltages still at 10, 83. Let me switch bands again and watch those meters. Nothing at all, right? Okay. So that was switching in double conversion to single conversion, which is a big difference in this radio, but didn't make any difference on those. What to say about it? We're still running at only 100 volt supply. I think I need to do a little more research on this. There isn't much controlling this voltage. This is the output of the 6AL5. It's got the input from the transformer, the AC, high voltage input going to it, and it's rectifying it out at, I guess based on the resistors, rectifying out this much voltage. The resistors are the correct resistors, as far as I know. They match everything. So I don't know. Something's not adding up here, because this is a wide range from what the radio information suggests, right? 80 volts instead of 50, or this would be 100 if I put the full voltage on the radio, 95 or something. Yeah, I don't think I could just settle for that. Generally speaking, I think it's an improvement over the radio's operation. I think I'm getting a lot less noise. But it's hard to know for sure any of this stuff unless you do a really proper study, and I'm certainly not doing any kind of proper studies here, just going on anecdotal experience. So should I put that wire in permanently? Not yet. I need to know a little more about this, so I'll have to do some more research. Well, I think maybe I'm going to take the opportunity to do my first heat check in there using my thermal viewer here. This is really hard to show on camera. It's very, very hard to figure it all out for you to see what I'm seeing. So you're just going to have to... Yeah, so all that red there, it looks so scary. It all depends on the settings of this device. So that's the first thing I want to do, is calibrate this. So I'm going to look for, massive red area. That's no good. We're going to adjust the setting here. I only want little red spots to show up. You can't see it in the camera, but that's what's happening now. Okay, little red spots. So, when a radio warms up, heat comes from the tubes through the tube pins, into the tube socket. The socket starts getting hot. Everything starts getting hot. So we don't really want to get caught looking at. So first of all, is there anything really wild here? Whoops, over this way. Is there anything that's just wild? So again, I'm seeing lots of red. So I'm gonna make my device less sensitive. Nothing down in this area. This area is nice and cool. Start seeing some hot stuff up in here. These are where the tubes are. A lot of that will be tube sockets. All kinds of hot stuff there. There's a single warm thing here. 1, 2, 3 warm things here. some sort. So I'm going to spend a little while adjusting and looking at this and trying to home in on anything that looks like it's really serious. Then we can take a look at it. Okay, so I've got my other camera here in my hand. See, the camera's looking right at the screen, and you can see some of the numbers here. Let's flip to that camera. Now you can't really see what I'm aiming the camera at, but you can read that number. It says max 2324. What that's telling me is the highest temperature that is appearing within the screen. I'm looking at the floor right now in my house. That's actually my foot. My foot is in the screen, and you can see, just don't let that disappear, 22 degrees C. It's showing, and see that thing that's moving around there? The one that's close to the camera there. That's showing the coldest spot. No, it's not. Showing the warmest spot. It's actually hovering over my foot. That's what it's doing. My foot is 21 degrees. I take my foot away. Look at that, 18 degrees. Got the picture? Now we're going to look at the radio here. So the thing to pay attention to is the temperature. You can't see there. So that number goes up over 40. There's something on the screen that's worth looking at, I think. 39, we're pretty close there, right? 40, I'm not going to worry too much about that. Like well over 40 maybe is what I want to say. So I don't even have to study anything, just watch that number. There was something in there that's 46. And then down here it's all pretty cool. So now let's just go back up very carefully. So there's something here that's hitting 50. I'm looking right in at the tube that I've been concerned about. So I see what looks like probably 2 tube sockets, and then below it there's something there. A resistor that appears to be hot. How do I know it's a resistor? I don't. I'm just, it's very hard to relate what you see in the screen. Okay, moving up from there, so we might have an overheated resistor. I guess you could say the big red blobs have to be things like tube sockets. They're kind of circular, you see. But then you see individual pieces here. What's the temperature? Come on, don't slip your camera here. So nothing up here is that hot. 43. There's nothing to worry about. The thing to worry about is 75 and above. In some cases that might not even be enough to worry about. Whoop, did I see an 80 there for a second? No, I don't think so. 30 is what I saw. So what this is telling me is there's nothing really hot in the back of this radio. Even the great big resistor here is not getting hot. And the cathode resistor, so I can use a technique here called blocking. My technique, I named it. What I'm doing is I'm blocking the thermal camera's view of something by passing my finger slowly up over in front of the lens. Now watch. Oh, you can see it. See it just disappear there? So what am I blocking? Oh yeah, you can't see. I'm blocking from that resistor. That guy there. That guy there. So that tells me what in the image is that resistor. Son of a gun here. Just try that again. Okay. Now the white plus, you see that I can, by re-aiming the camera, I can force that white plus, which is the center of the screen, right on top of the item. And then if you could see it, you would see the temperature reading come on down here. This big white thing that's declaring 32, 36. So I can actually aim this at specific items. There we are. 36. Another thing I can do is I can reduce the sensitivity here. Let's go down, just bear with me a second here. Sensitivity up. Okay, so now there's less red. I'm going to go up another one. Okay, so now the screen is doing a little bit of a better job for me. It's taking me down here to the hottest item, 45. Now I can probably identify what that is. Maybe not. few hot things. Ooh. So that's a tube base. And then down below, okay, the maximum temperature that's showing up here, 51. So something's a little warm in here, but okay, 51. I think you'd rather have it a little bit lower, but it's nothing to get too excited over. So the high wattage resistor, I think. It's very tricky to aim this. You know what, the bottom line is there's nothing overheating. And that's what that test is all about right now. I'm not getting into it a little too deep. It's looking for anything up around 70, 80, 90, something I should panic over. There's nothing in here that I should panic over. That's great. Wire connected, nothing overheating. Voltage is hanging on there. I don't know why this, should I spontaneously be worried about 83 volts? No. I'm only worried about it because I found references that say it should be 51 everywhere I looked. Okay, that's it for, I think that's it for today. I think I'm going to investigate the situation here more thoroughly and try to determine if this is a permanent change I need to make, if there's something more I'm missing in this circuit. You know, this is one of the most difficult troubleshooting things, I believe, and that is finding what's missing. It's really tough. And what's missing? The wire was missing in this radio. Well, okay, you know what? It only took me a few minutes of investigation to realize the mistake I was making here. I was reading the wrong voltage here. I'm reading the voltage coming out of the rectifier, out of the 6AL5 at 70, 80, 90 volts. But that's not where I should be measuring the 51. The 51 comes after the filter, the filter. So I have the set operating. It's operating right now on 101 volts. There's 10 volts. You can't quite see that, can you? There's 10 volts. This is 10 volts on the divider where it should be. And now I'm going to read the voltage being supplied into there in the appropriate location. Watch this meter here. Son of a gun, it is 48 volts. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to raise the radio's operating voltage to its proper voltage, 117. And we'll see what that 49 becomes 51. Just turning up the voltage here. Okay, so we're at 117 now. The 51 volts is 56. And the 10 volts is 12. Okay, what's this all sound like on the radio here? Let's have a listen. Sounds normal.
This is an article from The Scientist. So stay tuned for The Scientist magazine. You know, we're supposed to follow the science, right? Follow the facts. Oh, only till you start following the facts and the science, and then it somehow turns into conspiracy theory.
Okay, I think I'm a lot closer now to making that connection permanent. Still running a little high here. Maybe there's some more stuff to be found out. Not sure, but I'm feeling a lot better anyway about the mysterious, how can it possibly not be 51 volts? How can it be what it is? Well, now I know. Measured in the wrong spot, that's how. Okay, once again, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. You'll see me tomorrow. You won't even see me.